Welcome to the Screen the Screener College Basketball Podcast with your hosts, Mike Randall and Gus Kearns.
Welcome in, listeners, to the Screen the Screener College Basketball Podcast, where we're always talking everything college hoops. You could have been anywhere else on the dial, but you chose to be here with us, Mike and Gus. We appreciate that. With all honesty, we just want to get a quick thank you out of the way. Thank you, Bell Jar, for the intro and outro music. If you haven't checked them out on YouTube or on iTunes, please go do so. And thank you to Spreaker for getting us in your earbuds during March Madness and during the best time of year. We're so happy to share this space, this time, and this event with you. So thank you, listeners out there. And we also just want to say a thank you to you, the listeners out there. Thank you for spreading the good vibe that is the Screen the Screener College Basketball Podcast. Numbers are up. Listenership is up. There's good things happening. So we just want to say thank you. Thank you for being part of the grassroots movement. We feel like we are your craft beer, your local craft beer for the college basketball season. So thank you for imbibing with us. Cheers. Look, the Final Four is right around the corner, right? It's right here. It's kind of the thing that we've been waiting for. It's kind of the thing we've been building towards. Everybody had preseason prognostications. Everybody had brackets to fill out that are now partially busted or maybe look beautiful, depending on how you view them. And we just want to give you our Final Four rundown here. We have a couple things to talk about. We'll get you in, we'll get you out, and then we'll get you on your way to your weekend. And we hope that you enjoy the Saturday as much as Mike and I will. Mike, he will be here before you know it. You can catch him over at the Action Network, of course, with his guys to catch up on some maybe fishy lines or maybe a couple of things you might want to look at. First half, second half, a couple prop bets. I'll do my finest. I'll do my best. Happy Dandelion Day, everybody. I hope everybody, feels the spring thaw coming your way. And maybe as you're, out there working in the yard or just spending some time outside, you're going to grab one of those dandelions and make a wish. And man, don't you just wish that we get exactly what we had for the Elite Eight slate of games? I mean, I wish that we could just have another wonderful slate of games just like we had last weekend. I mean, those things, it could have been the finest Elite Eight we've ever seen, like ever. That it's in that argument, it's in that conversation. It was so powerful. The storylines, the actual drama in the games, the way the games broke down. I mean, Carson Edwards going bananas, UVA with the miracle. Gonzaga out early, then comes back late, and the Perkins out of bounds. The whole thing was unbelievably dramatic, and we just hope that the Final Four provides that same type of intensity, same type of drama, same type of excitement, same type of buy-in from the fans, from us, from you, right? That's all we wish on Dandelion Day. And look, let's start with the games, right? I mean, we're going to go Auburn, we're going to go UVA, we're going to go Texas Tech, and we're going to go Michigan State. Auburn, UVA looks about -5 right now, 609 CBS, and of course Texas Tech, Michigan State slated for 849 CBS. It's going to be an unbelievable Saturday. Can't wait. Michigan State by about 2.5 currently. Those lines might flux a half point or so, depending on where some of the smart money goes. Let's talk Auburn UVA first. I kind of like UVA. I kind of like them. I know 5 points is a lot here. 5.5 is a lot here. I get it. I feel like this is the game where the reality of the Okeke injury hits hard. Every great team can rally, they can muster, they can effort for a game or even a handful of games, with passion, attention, detail, game planning, a bench player or two playing inspired ball, like living their best lives for a couple of games. Like that happens. And when that happens, it's an unbelievable story and we all celebrate it. And that's exactly what we've done with this Auburn team. That's the storyline behind this team. And we wish on this Dandelion Day that Auburn continues that inspired play, that effort, the execution. And we wish, as we blow on the Final Four Dandelion, but I feel like UVA and the Tony Bennett Redemption Tour has one more tour date, don't you guys? I feel like it's got one more tour date. It's going to be on Monday. It's going to be on Championship Monday. UVA is excellent against the 3. Auburn is excellent using the 3. They'll jack 30-plus threes in this game, no doubt. Even in a historic 3-point performance from Carson Edwards, where he made 10 threes against UVA, couldn't find the finish line. I know they needed some sort of miracle sequence at the end. Are you telling me that Auburn is going to somehow better what Carson Edwards did against this defense? I'm not sure I'm buying that. We're going to talk about arguably one of the top, 3-4 players in the country in Carson Edwards, and he couldn't get it done against this vaunted defense. And now UVA comes in to need to cash in some of that banked karma. Auburn, cashed in some banked karma too in round 1 against New Mexico State. So both of these teams have kind of had a blessed path getting here. But I'll tell you right now, winning these two games this weekend, this Saturday game and this Monday game is really tough. Once you get here, It's a celebration, and it should be. And every program that makes it to a Final Four should be celebrated properly. Hand out the shirts, hand out the hats, hang the banner, do the whole thing. But I'll tell you right now, these next 2 games, toughest 2 games. Toughest 2 games of your career, toughest 2 games of your coaching career, toughest 2 games of your playing career, the toughest. End of sentence. I think Coach Bennett and his Who's will not settle. I don't think they're going to be happy just to be here. I think Championship Monday will include UVA. I think this game will be a little bit higher scoring than you think, or you might guess. And you know what else? We got to throw into the equation too. And this is like, kind of an ancillary piece, but it's still definitely humorous and like a total punchline for, all of us to, just use the NCAA as a punching bag that they usually are. I mean, Kyle Guy might take out some of his wedding registry frustration here and his angst and nail like 6 threes. And he just might say, take that NCAA rules. Ugh. So stupid. Are you kidding me? That's even a conversation or like a talking piece or a story? That's ridiculous. Now, like, people can't even get married and sign up for things on their registry without like double checking with the NCAA. Come on, people. That's just absolutely straight out ridiculous. Give me a break. Cheers, Kyle Guy, and to your future wife. I hope everything goes according to plan. I hope the ceremony is beautiful, and I hope you guys celebrate in a big time way. So I like UVA. I like UVA for a number of reasons. I like that they're going to defend out to the 3-point line. I like that maybe Auburn can't repeat their 3-point accuracy from previous rounds. I also think that maybe if you're thinking that they're going to be better than Carson Edwards is, look, as great as Harper is, he's great. As great as Brown has been, he's been great. Are both of those guards going to equal or better or be greater than what Carson Edwards was able to do? I can't find an equation for that to happen. Let's throw in the reality of the Okeke injury because he was playing absolutely out of his head. He was playing like borderline like the best player on their team, putting up a double-doubles, like impacting the game inside defensively at the rim, impacting the game offensively on multiple levels all the way out to the 3-point line with his offensive rebounding. He's out of the equation. Was he inspiring? Was he part of the winning equation for them to get to the Final Four even when he wasn't on the court? Absolutely, 100%. But maybe that reality hits hard here. So I'm gonna take UVA getting to Championship Monday. Now, let's talk to the other game. We mentioned Dandelion Day, and I think we all wished, maybe not all of us, but I think the sentimentals in us, I think the historians in us, the lovers of the game, I think we all wished for a Gonzaga-Michigan State matchup. And I think we wished for that matchup for no other reason than that would cause a celebration for the great Coach Judd Heathcote. The magical Michigan State coach had the guts to play a 6'9" freshman at the guard position and morph the game forever while winning a championship for Sparty. And then he retired up to the Spokane area where he was welcomed with open arms by the Gonzaga program. And when we were lucky enough to talk to Jim Meehan, who covers Gonzaga like a glove up there, he mentioned that Coach Judd was a part of the program. He was an influence. He was in the gym. He talked to the coaching staff. He was in their ear. And Coach Few and the staff absolutely welcomed him. But instead of that story, we get something pretty cool. We get our sport's next great coach, the it coach, the coach that everybody will be gravitating toward and maybe copycatting at this point with the newly minted National Coach of the Year, Coach Beard. Cheers. Congratulations, Coach Beard. Well-deserved. Absolutely incredible job. And he's going to be going against one of the sports darlings who's been under fire in recent years, in recent weeks, Coach Izzo. Most recently, Coach Izzo was blasted by some, not us here at SDS. No, the Screener did not have any problems with the way Coach Izzo coached up his freshman Aaron Henry hard on the sidelines and got in his face for a mistake. And that's how you change habits. Enough of this. We've talked about it before on the podcast. I'll go one more little go off here for a couple of seconds here, but enough. Look, if you're an educator, if you're a coach, if you're involved in changing people's young people's lives positively, guess what? Sometimes it's not always going to be flowers and bouquets. It's not. It's not going to be a family portrait. It's not. It's not going to be something that you want to frame. Sometimes that learning, that teaching, and that execution gets ugly, and it needs to get ugly. And it needs to get uncomfortable because you need to teach, you need to educate, and you need to present the uncomfortableness for those young people to exist in the uncomfortableness and find comfort in the uncomfortableness. Enough enough holding hands, enough saying mommy or daddy will fix this, enough saying like it's okay. Sometimes it's not okay. And when it's not okay, you have to figure out how to operate when it's not okay. And that's exactly what Coach Izzo did here. That's exactly what he explained. That's exactly how he coached it. And that's exactly what he wanted. And what did Henry do? The next game, he came back and looked like the best player on the court, put up 20 points and helped his team get to a Final Four. Coach Izzo, great job. We applaud you. Unbelievable work on the sidelines. Unbelievable work with your young athletes. Love that you're coaching them the right way. Love that you're changing habits and making differences week to week, game to game. That's how it's done, folks. Enough of this, hey, everything's going to be okay. You can still play. You can take every shot. A missed shot is okay. No, a missed assignment is not okay if you're trying to win a game. No. A bad decision, not passing to an open teammate, is not okay when we're trying to win a game, we're trying to make a Final Four, and we're trying to make history. No, it's not okay, and here's why it's not okay. And then in recent years, Sparty was felled by a Syracuse zone in round 2 when, it held 2 lottery picks on its team and a future All-American, Cassius Winston, on the team. And who could forget the Giddy Potts, Coach Kermit Davis, Middle Tennessee, taking down the co-national player of the year, Denzel Valentine, and Coach Izzo in round 1. I mean, that 15-2 upset. Mike said that might be one of the biggest upsets in college history because of the odds and the bettors that were taking Michigan State to get to the Final Four and win the whole thing that particular year. They were one of the odds-on favorites. So I think it's fitting that Izzo takes this Michigan State team that's depleted by injury, gassed out by the effort that they put out to get to that Big Ten tournament title, all the way to a Final Four. And on the way, they defeated a team that had 2 lottery picks and maybe next year's Cassius Winston and Trey Jones and beat Duke. It's just very fitting. So who's going to win now that we've got a little poetic on you there? I think maybe only Coach Judd knows here who might win this game. But if I was going to lean one way or the other, I'm going to say Michigan State. I think they're the more balanced team on both ends of the floor. Is Texas Tech's defense just like top shelf, top 3 in the nation? Yeah. Absolutely. You can look at it and say it's top 3 in the nation. Yep. You can watch tape and say it's top 3 in the nation. Yep. You can see the length at every position they have on the floor and say it's top 3 in the nation. Yep. And you can look at metrics and you can say it's top 3 in the nation. Absolutely, yep. But on the offensive end, I think that's where maybe the second half against Gonzaga might be the anomaly. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to put up another 40 spot. That might have been a drop in the bucket. I don't know if that's the true Texas Tech team here. And I think Michigan State's a little bit more balanced on the offensive end and the defensive end. I think they'll hold their own defensively. And I think the difference here is going to be on the offensive boards. We saw what Michigan State was able to do, maybe not execute against Duke on the offensive boards. They missed a couple of those bunny putbacks. Maybe against Texas Tech, those bunny putbacks find home, find the bottom of the net, and then we're looking at a Michigan State 5, 6, 7 point lead because of that work on the offensive boards. And look, even though Michigan State is depleted and Michigan State has some injury problems, the one thing they do have is they do have a rotation of those big guys. They got Ward, they got Goins, those guys can roll in and out, and that's not going away. And they, foul trouble or whatever, they have a rotation there that's going to work. So give me Michigan State, give me some offensive boards with some easy scores in a tight game, and that allows the offense that may be lacking because of Texas Tech's defensive presence. That's going to be the avenue where Michigan State can find a couple of extra possessions to get the margin of victory. So I like a UVA Michigan State final on Monday. I think it's going to be incredible. I think it's going to be 2 of the best coaches in our sport going head to head. I think it's going to be 2 of the best players in the country with Ty Jerome and Cassius Winston in the backcourt. I think that's going to be fascinating with Jerome's length and pace of play and Winston's lack of length, but also his musicianship and his artistry to how he plays the game. And you want to see if he can operate one more kind of back-to-back performance here with all of his injury troubles. And you heard Mike say on the podcast, he's good to go. He's injury-free. They probably have a medical tent following him around to make sure he's good because he is the heart and soul and the pulse of that team and who's going to win and what we're going to see on Monday. But you know what? We got a couple other things we need to talk about here. Here's what I hope. I just hope that we all get what we wish for when we tune in this Saturday. I hope we get further basketball beauty. I hope we get 2 more games that allow us to argue and gab, opinion, and just imbibe and enjoy. So Listeners, for this Saturday, cheers. Take in the whole thing, soak it in, and just allow it to infiltrate your being and enjoy it. Listen, we got a couple other things we need to talk about, though. A couple other happenings. We got some coaching moves, right? We got some things we need to talk about on the coaching front. UNLV, TJ Alsenberg, like, unbelievable hire. I think he's going to be great there. He mentioned the phrase, we can win a national championship at UNLV. Maybe we need to, like, pump the brakes there a tiny bit. Will he get players? Sure. Did Menti get players? Yes, he did. Is that going to stop at UNLV? No. Wouldn't it be nice if Alsenberg could get the type of player that he had? He had a Jenkins, he had a Dom like that, and he had those players there. I think that might work. And I think the rest of the programs we're going to ask, like, did they get their wish? Alabama, Nate Oates, superior. Top shelf. Knocked it out of the park. What else do you want? If you are a high major program and you are looking for a change of gears and you are looking for a change in culture and you are looking for a fresh name, a new fit, Nate Oates is your guy. Boom. Home run hire. Love it. Love the whole thing. Don't think he's going to go and he plays a great brand of basketball. It's going to be exciting. They're going to go up and down. He's going to be able to have recruits come in because he's going to sell that brand of basketball. Look, we're going to put up 80 points a game. You're going to get a lot of touches. I'm going to play my bench. Even if you're not starting, you're going to get touches. Look at what I did with Perkins. Like, the whole thing. The whole thing works. Love that. Nebraska, Fred Hoiberg. Okay, that works. I mean, Tim Miles did an admirable job. You loved his I loved his statement, like, on the way out. He's like, I'm going to go home and play with my dogs, be with my family, and have a Coors Light. Absolutely fantastic exit strategy. Cheers. Enjoy that Coors Light. But I think if Hoiberg just follows a similar success pattern and recipe that he had at Iowa State, I think that makes sense, right? Bring in a couple of transfers that maybe might be knuckleheadish. We'll just bring up one of our favorites, DeAndre Kane, who transferred in for Marshall and did, like, unbelievable things. As, like, was literally one of the best players in the country his lone year for the Cyclones. So if he can bring in and find talent and continue to, like, mine talent like that at the mid-major level and then bring it to the high major level, I think that makes sense. But I also think that he'll like have the appeal of, like, hey, I've won big at another stop. I know what it takes to, be an NBA player. I can bring you in here and get you ready for all of those things. They might have something here. So I think this is also, under the Nate Oates situation, superior hire. Texas A&M with Buzz? Yeah. Money. Cash. Why wouldn't you do this if you're Texas A&M? Pay him whatever he needs to get there. And you know that, I know we've talked about before on the podcast, but Buzz is aware. He's an unbelievably cerebral guy. He understands the shelf life that his message has, even at the college level. When you have a cyclic roster where you're going to have new ears that's going to hear the same voice all the time, he understands that maybe the culture of the program only has 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and then you kind of need to change gears. So I think the Texas A&M hire is going to be great. I think he's going to do wonders down there. I think he's going to absolutely blow up the place, and I think he's going to do exactly what he did at the other two stops. Marquette got to a couple of Elite Eights and was just a factor every single time in the tournament. And then this year, Virginia Tech, literally a possession away from making an Elite Eight and maybe a Final Four against Duke. So we're talking high-level coach. We know that he's a super sharp guy, and we know that he also, similar to Hoiberg, can really find that talent and then develop that talent, and that talent can then develop into, like, NBA-ish talent. So he's not afraid to go do the work and maybe take a chance on a guy that he thinks is going to be there for 2 or 3 years that he can really develop. So I think Buzz is a superior hire. Hey, how about one, like, off the radar? How about Washington State and Kyle Smith? Washington State doesn't have, like, the pull of the other places, the Alabama, the Nebraska, the Texas A&M, but they are in the Pac-12. So they don't have that amount of resources, but I think Kyle Smith is a home run hire. And I think that he's actually going to, in a slightly down Pac-12 situation, if you hire the right person, like Kyle Smith, you can make a big jump. I wouldn't be surprised if Washington State in 2 years, not next year, in 2 years, makes a gigantic jump, and then we're talking about them at the top of the Pac-12. How's that sound? And then a couple other, like, question marks, like UCLA. What are we doing? Are we really going to go Mick Cronin? Are we really going to go Jamie Dixon? Is that where we're at now? You just got rid of Steve Alford, and we're going to go to Jamie Dixon now. I know Jamie Dixon has had a little bit more success in the tournament than Steve Alford has. He made the Elite Eight with that Pitt team. That was unbelievable. Is that where we're going now? Is that where we're at? Like, we can't nab somebody else? Like, we can't get to... Wow, that's shocking. Maybe they should have just held on to Alford and just, like, wrote out the year and, like, be done with it and then, like, start anew. I don't know, but that seems like kind of messy. I don't know if it's going to get any neater anytime soon. Belmont with Coach Bird. kudos, Coach Bird. So glad he went out with a win in the NCAA tournament. And legitimately, the two Belmont games might have been the two best games of the tournament, right? I mean, the leading game and then that game against Maryland, we had a shot in the air there to knock out Maryland and move on there. That was crazy. Great job by Coach Bird. So you want to see what happens there. And then Arkansas, who knows? We've heard every big name there, from Musselman to Patino, the whole thing. And because there is a lot of money to throw around there, I guess that all those names make sense, but I don't know if anybody's going to buy in there. And plus, Mike Anderson did a good job. He did okay. He did okay there. He made them relevant, got them to the tournament a couple times. And then he brought in some talent. They had Gafford and Joe. This wasn't a terrible team. So, coaching moves. Do these programs get their wish, Dandelion Day? I don't know. All right, look, we're going to go NIT. We're going to go CBI. We're going to go CIT. NIT, congratulations to Texas. Our guy, Dylan Osikowski, hits for a double-double. Texas gets a title in New York City. Really cool. And they did it minus Jackson Hayes, who is going to be an NBA first rounder somewhere, whether it be late lottery or somewhere else. Matt Coleman does a little bit of everything, just like he always does. 11 points, 7 assists, 4 steals, 2 threes. And Shaka gets it right. He gets it right here. He wins a championship. He wins a title for his Texas team. Maybe not the title that everybody wants, but I'll tell you what. Texas, Matthew McConaughey got their wish, an NIT title over Lipscomb. And Lipscomb had a great season. And Matthews just, had his issues from the field. He was 2 of 10. So when your best player is 2 of 10 in a championship situation, it's going to be tough to win, especially when you rely on him so heavily on the offensive end. So obviously Texas really locked down defensively on him. I think this gives Shaka a little wiggle room, and he's not going to be so much on the hot seat when you can walk home with a title and say, look, we won our last game. Anytime you can win your last game in the season, that's a positive. CBI, guess what we get? The slow burn hoop fans get their wish. South Florida and DePaul find game 3 for the finals. This is so cool. It's totally the Backstrut showcase, by the way. He had 32 points last game. So you want to see what happens in the showdown. I love that they're going to a game 3. I think that's all you want when you have the CBI, right? Is you just want whatever the final is to go to the game 3 and have some drama in it. And then in the CIT, West Virginia gets their wish. Marshall goes off. CJ Burks and John Elmore were not done, apparently. That unbelievable backcourt, one of the best backcourts in the nation. You can argue that's a top 10 backcourt in the nation, even though they're, we're talking CIT here. This is what I love about these particular tournaments, right? Especially like a team like Marshall, okay? You always love when a team is rewarded, when it missed out on its big goal, rallies, it refocuses, it gets into the gym and says, you know what? This is important to us still. I don't want to stop playing basket. The coaching staff says, I don't want to stop coaching basket. The managers say, I don't want to stop doing what we do on the sidelines to help this team win. And that speaks volumes about the culture and the coaching staff that exists at Marshall. The fact that this is a team that we were talking about not 1 year ago that pulled off a first-round upset against a very powerful Wichita State program in the first round of the NCAA tournament. And now we're talking about them in the CIT winning a championship. It's cool. It's rewarding. And they did it against a Green Bay team. And that Green Bay team was no joke. They're led by Sandy Cohen. Sandy Cohen is sick, man. Go check out his stat line if you want to be entertained. 17.6 points, 6.4 rebounds, 4.8 assists, 1.1 blocks, 1.9 steals. The dude does everything for Green Bay. So it's not like that CJ Burks and John Elmore were doing this against stiffs. They had to do it against like a legit awesome college basketball player in Sandy Cohen from Green Bay. So kudos to our champions, Texas, whoever it might be in the CBI, South Florida, DePaul, and Marshall. Congratulations. You know what else we got to talk? We got to talk some transfers. I got a couple of transfers here that I think are worth mentioning. I think they're worth paying attention to. DJ Harvey of Notre Dame, long, can shoot it, a little bit bigger than you think. Just didn't fit perfectly in Notre Dame. I think he'll be interesting, especially if maybe he goes slightly down a level. Like if he how about a UConn for him? Does that sound about right? Yeah, that sounds about right, doesn't it? John Petty, Alabama, with the coaching change. I guess he doesn't. Maybe he should have given Nate Oates a chance if he saw what CJ Massenberg was able to do there and that crew. Maybe he should have hung around. But you want to see what the shooter Petty goes and what he can do. Jalen Fisher, TCU. I think it's interesting because his injury past, I think, will limit his opportunities. How's that? Pipkins, UMass. Dude can put up 20 points a game. I think he's very Jazz Johnson from Nevada this past year, so I think that's interesting as well. Max Hazard, UC Irvine. If you watch that conference tournament and you watch that, obviously the first game, he played out of his head. I think there'll be a lot of suitors for him, even if he can be like a third guard off the bench. I think that would make sense. One of the guys I think is really important on the transfer market, and he's going to be a grad transfer, is Justin Pierce from William & Mary. 6'6", 6'7"-ish, do everything. He ran a little point for them this year. He can defend multiple positions. He can shoot the three. He can rebound the ball at a high rate at that height. I think he's really interesting, and I think that he's a guy that could be a difference maker on a high major team. Maybe not going to be like the best player. Maybe he's the sixth man off the bench. Maybe he's the fifth starter. He could be the missing piece for some team that is trying to put together, whether it be a conference championship team, maybe a conference tournament championship team, maybe even a Final Four team. He's that impactful. He's that good. He does that many things that well. Justin from UNLV, who averaged a double-double. I think anytime you're going to average a double-double in the college game, I think you got to get paid attention to. You want to see where he goes. Lamont West went from West Virginia to Missouri State, so that's a huge get for the Valley. Can shoot it a little bit from outside, has some size, some length to defend on the defensive end. Nate Sestina from Bucknell goes directly to Kentucky, so I guess Coach Cal really liked the Reed Travis transfer thing here. 6'9" guy, big guy. He'll probably come off the bench, and just a good influence as a grad transfer. And then one of my favorite guys, Kwasi Yeboah from Stony Brook. He was arguably like the second or third best player in the America East this year, obviously behind Lamb. You can make an argument that he was the second best player, but I think Yeboah was really interesting because he's the big guard that can make shots and push you around and be a bully. I think it's interesting to pay attention to where he might go. And I think the last part that we'll talk about here, and then we'll get you out of here, is how about who's declaring for the NBA draft? I'll just give you my 2 cents on the guys that have come in so far. Tyus Battle, who else makes more tough twos than that guy from Syracuse? He does have some ball handling capabilities, so he's intriguing at least as like a lead guard or maybe a secondary ball handler. Bol from Oregon, of course, with the height, the stretching the floor, impact on the defensive end. Kai Bowman from Boston College, really impactful, kind of explosive type guard. I don't know if he's going to be long enough to make a huge impact in the NBA, but we'll see. Daniel Gafford, Arkansas. If he's healthy, I think he'll be fine. He has good bounce, good offensive rebounder, maybe a little bit of Bobby Portis in him, since we're going to Arkansas there. Darius Garland, the tremendous point guard from Vanderbilt, who just wasn't healthy. I hope he's healthy enough to go through some of the drills and show his real skill. How about Naz Little, UNC? Yeah, I get that. I understand. Jalen McDaniels, San Diego's 6'10"-ish guy, super long. Maybe want a little bit more bulk on him. Shamorie Ponds, Mike and I are going to differ on Shamorie Ponds. I think his craft and his ability around the basket, his creativity with the ball is really unique. I think he'll find a home somewhere. Naz Reid, LSU. Yeah, you knew he was out, right? Like, that was just a matter of time. I think he was one of those guys who just couldn't wait to put his name in. Shimi Shittu from Vanderbilt, he was the kind of the Robin to Darius Garland. He had the opportunity to kind of get things rolling, but I don't feel like he got anything where he needed to get it to. And then Kobe White from UNC. I love Kobe. I would love for him to come back, but I understand why he's going. I get why he's going. And then we got a couple of guys that are like testing the waters to test it out. Jordan Bone, Tennessee, I think it's okay. Mark Coffey, I think it's okay. THT, Taylor Horn-Tucker from Iowa State, I get it. Kanate, he's not healthy. I don't know if that's a great move. Jordan Nwora, you kind of knew that was going to happen. Mia Onye, of course, that makes sense too. Isaiah Reese from Canisius. I don't really understand a couple of the other guys that are testing the waters out, but I understand why you go through the process. Another guy that's interesting, I think, is Nathan Knight, William & Mary. That's Pierce's teammate. Long, 6'10"-ish, good rebounder, can shoot it a little bit, can defend around the rim, maybe not as slight a foot as you'd like, but I bet he gets some good feedback. And I was kind of happy that Jalen Pickett's going to return to school from Siena. I think that he had a little buzz that maybe he would test some waters, but I'm glad he's going to come back. Talk about who's going to be the next Cassius Winston. It just might be Jalen Pickett, because he has an unbelievably unique skill set as a lead ball handler. He has enough length at 6'3", 6'4". His pull-up game is tremendous. It's like a lost art, and his creativity off the dribble is through the roof as well. So I'm glad that he's returning to school. He's a guy that obviously is going to be on watch lists next year. Like, you got to pay attention to this guy. But we've been kind of talking about him on and off all season here. Listeners, if you like what you're listening to, please give the podcast a follow at SDS Podcast. Efficiency of keystrokes, of course, on Twitter. Don't forget to give Mike a follow at Randall Rant. He is insightful, educational, and a riot all in one nice, tidy little package. Plus, you get to keep up with all his Action Network over there. So please give him a follow as well. If you like what you're listening to, take some time. You got a little time before we get to Saturday. Punch up a nice review on iTunes. Let us know what you think. Say thank you in that fashion to some of the guests we've had on, like Mira Fader. She did an unbelievable job breaking some stuff down. By the way, she liked Auburn a lot, so that was really cool that she gave us that insight. Maybe you want to say something nice about John Gasway. Maybe you want to say something about John Rothstein, who we had on. We've had a ton of nice guests on this year, so maybe say some nice things about them on your podcast consumption vehicle review system. That'd be really cool. And then I think the last part is we hope that you enjoy the weekend, and we're happy to share March with you. Thank you for allowing us to share March with you and share the Final Four, the lead-in, the whole thing. We're honored. Thank you for giving us some of your time. We hope that we help with a commute, some chores, maybe some tasks around the house, or you got us plugged into your speakers, your earbuds in whatever fashion. It's really cool. Thanks for letting us keep you company. Cheers. Cilantro, gratulati. Enjoy the weekend, everybody. We'll catch up with you before you know it.